Lee Camp on an exciting episode of Government Secrets. Episode 52. I know we said we weren't going to number them anymore, but then
you just can't help yourself. You just can't help
I
yourself.
can't. I love numbers. I really.
You know, I hadn't realized how close Superman, Curl, and Count Chocula are until just now.
It's weird. Have you ever seen them in the same place at the same time? I'm just saying, I don't want to get all crazy conspiratorial, but I'm just saying, it's weird. You've never seen.
It's very true. And yes, we got to apologize to the viewers and the listeners. I think it's been like 2 weeks, and we ended up in a weird situation where you were taking a break the week before I was taking a break, and so now people haven't seen anything for 2 weeks, and I feel like there's probably been a lot of self-harm going on.
Well,
you know, I don't want to. It's not like an ego thing, but I think when people go like a week without me, it's time to start cutting, I think.
Well, I just didn't want people to think that we had run out of government secrets. They're like, well, maybe now that Biden's bombing Somalia, everything's fixed. Everything's there's nothing more to do. I think Biden, there's no more government secrets with Joe Biden. So,
well, you know, with us getting out of Afghanistan, you gotta drop the bomb somewhere, or they get backed up. You end up with a real backlog. You end up with a blue ball situation, and so you gotta throw them somewhere.
That's right. And then, oh, weird, Taliban resurgence, and now we're sending people back to Afghanistan. That's so weird. I didn't see that coming. I didn't do like 5 videos on that a month and a half ago. It's bizarre.
We're going to spend most of the day on Afghanistan. I thought, though, because I knew this would light you up, I thought we could throw this out there real quick. I just did a live stream on how YouTube sent out their new terms of service agreement, and one of the things in there, which they've been doing, but now they just announced it, is that they can just put ads on people's videos, whether you're part of the partner program or not, and they're just going to steal the money. So, Graham, you may soon start having ads again. You just won't be getting paid for it.
Oh no, Lee! I love this term of service because they've actually been doing that to me this entire time I've been demonetized.
Yeah, they've been doing it for a long time. They just now have announced it.
They just now said, "Oh, but we're going to make it official." We kind of were secretly just stealing money from you, and now we're going to make it official that we can do whatever we want. So, all the more reason, folks, to go to rockfin.com and support indie journalists. Well, I'm not a journalist. I'm a goddamn comedian, and people need to really understand that in a very thorough way.
Well, but they also understand that in the world of journalism we now live, you and I are presenting more of reality than your average journalist. So
people go, how does it make you feel? I go, it makes me feel very distraught that like me and you and Jimmy and Ron Placone are like the last line of hope. Like, really? Like, we're the last line. Is like, really? You're hanging your hopes on us? Okay.
Before there was YouTube, we were just sitting in a green room making fart jokes together.
Yeah. And maybe talking politics. Like, that was the most we would do, is like talk politics and then, go to the mall and see a movie, the next day before we did a gig that night, and complained about morning radio like that. Now we have to do this. Like, I got to do this. So yeah, that's,
morning radio is enough. Now I got to save humanity from itself.
No, but I know exactly, like, this is my responsibility now. What? Like, I did jokes. I tell people to tip the wait staff. What fucking more do you want me to do? Like, what's, I mean, like, come on. So, yeah, this episode is going to be solely dedicated, since we're sending 3,000 just short-term peacekeepers back to Afghanistan. We couldn't stay out of there for a month. Like, we couldn't even.
No, I think we went a week. Why can't we quit you?
I know.
Afghanistan.
We're like some crazy ex that's like, fine, I'm leaving, and then shows up like 2 weeks later. Look, we're gonna work this out, and it's like, no, I broke up with you. I don't want you here anymore. I want you out of my life. Okay, well, we're gonna date for a while, and we'll see about that. So I played a video on my show of Obama from December 2009 saying, we're sending 30,000 troops to Afghanistan, but they're only going to be there for 18 months.
Yep. And in 2014, he made a big announcement about how we were bringing them all home.
Yeah.
It was all done.
It's done. It's great. So that was 2009.
So this episode, we're going to get into some more of the history of Afghanistan, kind of try and put all of our government secrets about Afghanistan, although I'm sure we won't get to everything, but put them all together into one big old Afghanistan packed episode.
Afghanistan government secret super PAC.
Oh, is that what super PAC means? I had no idea.
Yes, that's what it means. It's a bunch of lies all bundled up together. All right.
It just beat Nina Turner. It was lies about Afghanistan.
Yeah, it wasn't corporate Democrats.
No.
It was us. I think it was our fault. I think it was the People's Party fault, right? Isn't it always some little minuscule party that has like $4 to its name that always prevents a corporate Democrat from winning?
Yeah. So somehow Jill Stein, it's still her fault.
It's got to be. Yeah. She had to have something to do with this. I mean,
She hasn't run in, whatever, 6 years or something, but it's still her fault, really.
It's got to be. I mean, yeah. I got some email from some wingbird indie journalist when I had Nick Brana on my show a couple months ago and saying Nina Turner needs to leave the Democratic Party. And they were like, Graham, you're hurt. I know you guys mean well, but you're hurting. It's a tight race and she's hurt. It's like, and who screwed her over? It was the Democratic Party. It was not Nick Brana. It was not myself. It wasn't you. It was the Democratic Party. And still, even these so-called lefties are still, they're the same. Like, we can't quit Afghanistan. They can't quit the Democratic. They still have, even they voted for Bernie and maybe some of them voted for Jill Stein. I don't know. They still think that party is reformable. Like, they still think it can happen from within. It's like your best friend has face tattoos and runs a meth lab and you think they're going to get sober. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Like,
they just will forever, when push comes to shove, they're like, we'll just vote for Democrats this last time, just this time. And then it just one more time. It really is. It's you were talking about getting sober in the reverse, but it's like, they're just like, this is the last drink. I'm just having this one.
Then, it's always, and these vote any blue will do people, or even these so-called lefties that still hold out hope. And it's the same hope that the centrists, it's always just down the road. They are like addicts, like just tomorrow, I'm going to have a couple drinks because it's literally like, I'm done drinking. I'm done. You're right. It's like you have an intervention. They're like, you won't. I'm not going to drink. I'm done drinking anymore. I mean, I have a glass of wine with dinner, but I'm done drinking. I'm done. I mean, if I take a client out for a big lunch, we're going to have martini. I'm not going to lose the sale, but that's never. I mean, a little something in my coffee just to get the day going.
I'm going to have a few shots of whiskey, but I'm not going to inhale. So it won't have the effect.
That's not what I'm doing. I'm just gonna, just a little, I'm going to stop drinking. I mean, this weekend's my friend's birthday, so we're going to party, but next weekend, then we'll,
I heard if you mix it with coffee, it doesn't have an impact. So.
Yeah, you're fine. You're just like, I'm alert. It's not really like a problem. If I do that, mix it with my coffee every day, that's, then you're fine.
So on Afghanistan, I thought it'd be good to give people some of the numbers, and these are the numbers from 2019. So add a year and a half of extra killing, and you'll get the numbers, the current numbers. But these are from our own military, so take these with a grain of salt. But I thought you should know that these are the numbers, even if you take the best possible view of what's gone down in Afghanistan. These are still the numbers. 157,000 killed. That's 64,000 Afghan security forces, 43,000 Afghan civilians, 424 humanitarian aid workers, 67 journalists, 3,800 contractors, 2,300 U.S. military personnel, and then 42,000 Taliban and insurgents. However, you got to remember that our U.S. military likes to just claim that anyone they kill is an insurgent. How do we know it's an insurgent? Because we killed them. Why did we kill them? Because they're an insurgent. Well, how do we know they're an insurgent? Because we killed them. Well, why did we kill them? Because they're an insurgent. And so when you say 42,000 Taliban and insurgents, very likely plenty of those are also innocent civilians.
Right. Or just some poor farmer that, like, you know, just was told to make a phone call with his cell phone, and he was given $100, which is like more money than he would make in a month. And that caused an IED. And he's like, because I heard about, when I was over there, I would talk to some guys who were like, yeah, this is, everyone isn't they're just a poor farmer. And they go, you know, and they just say, hey, just put this package by the road, or then you, and then another will give you $100. And then you over there, just make this phone call. And then, you know, like you put the, they would, and are those guys Taliban? They're just like, I need $100. They told me to put this thing down. What do you want me to do? And so, like, yeah, we killed them. Oh, we got rid of the insurgents. No, you probably got a poor farmer that had no other options. And gee, it's not like the goddamn American empire, with its trillions of dollars, came into Afghanistan and said, hey, we're going to give everybody jobs. We're going to, like, everyone's going to get to work.
If you actually wanted to stop terrorism, that's what you do.
God, where else have I heard this? Where else have I heard this? God, this feels familiar. This feels like, what other country, if we spent money on improving people's lives, there'd be less crime? Is there another country that this is the case? Like, I don't know. I'm just guessing. Like, is there a country that spends a lot of money on its police?
Is it the Maldives? I don't.
It's got to be the Maldives. It has to be a small island in the Indian Ocean. It has a series of islands, nation that's almost underwater now thanks to climate change. Yes, it must be them that does that. Yes, it couldn't be. God, where I know I've heard this. I'll think of it later. I'll think of it later.
We'll figure it out later. But
and I'm sorry, just to get clarity, these are the numbers from this beginning of the war in Afghanistan. So the total, so at that point, 18 years. These numbers you're giving us.
End of 2019, so 18 years. Yeah.
Okay.
And so those came out in the Afghanistan papers. That was one of the. I'd honestly say it's one of maybe 2 times the Washington Post has done actual journalism over the past like 5 years. And I think the main reason they even did it was because Trump was in power. So it was a good time to say, look how failed this foreign policy is, because the liberal elite, like the Washington Post and Bezos, were against Trump. So it was a good time for them to do it. But it did encompass the entirety of the Afghanistan war. And the Afghanistan papers, which we'll only spend a little bit of time on, but they revealed that, big surprise, internal logs, internal memos, internal conversations, starting with Bush, going through Obama, going into Trump, they don't understand anything about Afghanistan. They don't know who the bad guys are, quote unquote. They literally call them the bad guys. I mean, that shows how little they know about this fucking country. There's a internal quote from Rumsfeld on a memo saying, I still have no visibility into who the bad guys are. There was just money just dumped everywhere because they thought that money would solve their problems. And of course, our Pentagon is getting $1 trillion a year. So why not just find places to use it? One exec at USAID, which is, a US Pentagon / CIA cutout, they guessed that 90% of what USAID spent was overkill. They were told to spend money on, sometimes they were told to spend like $3 million on a small Afghan town where there were like 1,000 people, and they didn't even know, people making, $100 a month. So they were like, what the fuck do we do with $3 million? And they just throw it around. A lot of it would disappear. A lot of it would end up in Taliban hands. And it was just tons of wasted money. And meanwhile, during all of this, if there's one lesson from the Afghanistan papers, it's that during all this, the generals, the press people, the presidents, they're all stepping forward up to the mic and saying, we got it under control. We know exactly what we're doing.
Again, I'm thinking, was there another war that this happened where we did a similar thing in a poor country and didn't know what the enemy was or how to deal with it, and we wasted a bunch of money and
No, you're thinking of Avengers: The Age of Ultron.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was a plot line from Avengers: The Age of Ultron. No, yeah, you're right. I was just thinking, I just feel like I've heard this before, but you're right. It's a comic book. There's no way United States would do this twice in my fucking lifetime. There's no way they would do this twice in my lifetime. There's no way they would do this twice in my lifetime.
And the war in Iraq, Biden just a month ago announced was over. Had the Iraqi prime minister in his office said the combat missions in Iraq are over. And I played the clips of the 5-6 other times presidents have said combat missions in Iraq are over. Because apparently that means nothing. I think they keep using those words. I don't think they understand what they mean, really.
And it's so curious to me. Well, first of all, I mean, it's been great to see the corporate media. They're still talking about the Afghan papers today. So that's great. Literally, this show is talking about the Afghan papers more than the corporate media ever has. It came out, they talked about it. And then, like you said, they should have been screaming about this when Biden took office. They were like, yeah, it's got to go. When he just last week, when he's like, oh, we're putting 3,000 troops back in, it should have been, Afghan papers should have been like front and center, but it's not. And then you and I apparently have this amazing superpower of using memory. We have the memory superpower, and then using a search engine to just look up times all these presidents said this and then put them on our little goddamn YouTube shows. Like, somehow we're that amazing that we have this skill that nobody seems to possess at CNN.
Well, hold on, Graham. I have to admit that I do have a team of 0 researchers. So me and my 0 researchers get together in a room, and we work very hard on this. And honestly, they're all 0 of them are brilliant. And
I have a team of researchers. I mean, I live in a high-rise building, so everyone in it's all offices. I have probably 10,000 political vigilante employees working round the clock to, make sure that I have green tea in a can. It's really,
and they can't seem to nail down the episode number, but otherwise they do a pretty impressive job.
It's amazing. They're so busy really doing all this other stuff. They can't seem to nail down the episode number or get me to show up on time. It's amazing that they can't seem to figure this staff of people. They're so busy doing all this other amazing work that CNN somehow can't do.
Just to get you 10 minutes late, there were 3 people behind you with their hands on your back.
Yes, I have a team of people. So like when my computer doesn't work, I have this whole IT staff that's just furiously working. It's not me going, oh, fuck. And then like,
but yeah, I mean, it shows that's the other thing that what's going on right now in Afghanistan. Like if you were to flip on CNN or whatever, it'll show you how fucking pathetic these media are. And I went back and watched my episode on the Afghanistan papers and I played the clip of Wolf Blitzer covering them because, like you said, they covered them for about 1 day. And, so these people have the ability to reference these things as well, because they also, at least in this case, they fucking covered them at least for a day. So it's like, how do they not know everything they said like a year ago? It's like a year ago.
You can't expect a major multi-billion-dollar generated news organization with literally thousands of employees to keep track of stuff. It's sadly, I mean, come on, I think you're being a little outlandish here.
By the way, Rick Sanchez he's at RT and he used to be at CNN, and he said at CNN they gave him so many employees just as like researchers and interns and shit. He didn't even know what to do with them all. He'd send some guy off, like some kid off to research something he didn't even need for the show just to get him out of his hair. Like they don't even know what to do with all the people they have.
Wow, this kind of sounds like the American State Department's handling of Afghanistan. Anyway, it's
speaking of that, just one more thing from the Afghanistan papers, and we will also in a second talk about the fact that the Afghanistan papers were really just a reintroduction of many of the things that were revealed by Julian Assange and the Afghan war logs.
right.
So we'll get into that in a second. But one other thing from the Afghanistan papers that just blew my fucking mind. I mean, there's so much stuff in there, but is that there were tens of thousands. The military found out there were tens of thousands of ghost soldiers in Afghanistan. Now, that is that the U.S. military was just dumping money out to various people to try and, solve this problem or do whatever they could do. Some of that money would go to Afghan commanders, Afghan security forces commanders, to train their soldiers. So the Afghan commanders would just say, yep, I got 10,000 soldiers. Meanwhile, they got one guy in flip-flops, who's sitting in the urinal right now. And they would say, yeah, I had 10,000 soldiers here. And so the U.S. military would just dump money to that commander and he'd take it home or pocket it or whatever. And so they later found out that there were tens of thousands of ghost soldiers, just fake soldiers the U.S. was paying for.
I would actually feel better if you told me there was a CIA operation to use ghosts in a military operation. That would actually make me go, well, at least they're trying some sort of supernatural thing, like the bad guy in the first Indiana Jones movie. You know what I mean? Like at least there's something I could go, well, they're trying another one of their crazy operation projects. No, they're just like, this is like, dude, I'm from Chicago. This is good old fashioned Chicago ghost payroll shit. This is just like my nephews, my niece, I'm giving them salary and they don't work for the city. This is good old fashioned kickback, corrupt.
This is just straight up Tony Soprano shit.
This is Tony Soprano shit. Like, you want a job? Yeah, I'm putting you on the payroll. What am I doing? Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Just do I show up to work? No. Absolutely not.
Whatever you do, don't make the mistake of showing up to work.
Do not show your face at your job. Just go to your mailbox every 2 weeks and go have fun. You know what I mean?
But so yes, then there is also the fact, which I'm sure the mainstream media is covering extensively, that Assange is basically being tortured right now. He's in prison right now for, revealing many things, but probably one of the biggest that ended him up that got him in prison, that got him to the extent that Hillary Clinton said he should be drone bombed, was revealing the Afghan war logs, which was, to quote from WikiLeaks tweet, an extraordinary compendium of over 91,000 reports covering the war in Afghanistan from 2004 to 2010, and the only public database available for study. And to this day, this is how important WikiLeaks is, which people, want to, the mainstream media has done such a good job of maligning them that people don't even know they can still go there and still research this shit. But you could go to wikileaks.org /AFG right now, and you can search through tens of thousands of U.S. military logs that reveal so much about how little we understand about Afghanistan, about how fucked it is there, about the propaganda that's being put forward. And that's still available for anyone who wants to go search right now. And our mainstream media could be searching it right now if they gave a shit.
Well, they don't have the internet. They're still using file cards and microfiche, like a library from 1978.
Microfiche.
They have microfiche over there. They don't have access to the internet, and I don't think it's fair.
They're micro-fascists, really.
They're micro-fascists. I don't think it's fair to put this on them, a news organization, to demand that they have the internet and to search something that anyone can look at. It's my favorite thing about how maddening this whole process is, that literally, like, oh my God, Lee and Graham and Jimmy, you guys are doing all this amazing work. No, we're not. We're just doing something. Just no, we're not. Like, this is like basic to get to get like a B- on a high school term paper. That's barely the amount of work I'm doing. Like, this is how like.
Someone needs to come out with a show called B-.
Oh God.
So the big thing, and this goes back to the WikiLeaks logs a little bit. The big thing that the U.S. media has been harping on, right, is women. You know, oh, poor women. We have to go back into Afghanistan right now because of the women. And there's several points to be made about that. First of all, they knew this was going to happen. They knew this was where the fucking situation was for years now. It's been a stalemate where the Afghan security forces mean almost nothing. And the moment the U.S. leaves, Taliban will take over. And so they knew all of that. This is not actually a surprise. They're acting like it is so that they can continue this war forever, you know, and the media elite want it to keep going. And so they keep pushing this. But on top of that, the U.S. was more than happy to be the Taliban's friends before 9/11, even though the Taliban's policy on women was the same fucking then. But the U.S. military and the U.S. government didn't give a shit back then. They allied, and in many ways they helped create the Taliban. We can get into more of that in a minute, but they were fine with it then. But then 9/11 happens. They go into Afghanistan. Now they use the way Taliban treat women, which is not good, and they use it as propaganda to further their goals. It's not that they actually give a shit about women. If they gave a shit about women, then they'd be talking about Saudi Arabia every goddamn day. Because Saudi Arabia treats women like shit too.
If they gave a shit about women, they would have been doing something about it for the last 20 years with these trillions of dollars. They would have been empowering women. They would have been building schools. They would have been giving people money and jobs or whatever they needed to do to make this thing. They act like, oh, zoinks, I can't believe this is happening. You've been there for 20 years. What the fuck have you been doing? It's literally like Animal House, like 9 years of college down the drain. Like, what were you doing this whole time? Like, where did this money go? Where is this money? There should be women in government. There should be a completely new system there. There should be
because none of it's true. They don't give a fuck about women. This has enriched weapons contractors. It's enriched America. I mean, the American elite, obviously, not regular Americans. It's just bankrupted regular Americans. It's enriched, the ruling elite of Afghanistan that were able to pocket so much money. It's enriched warlords. There's plenty of money to go around, millions of dollars into people's pockets. I mean, billions when you add it all up, and $1 trillion overall. But it's enriched so many people, and it's been useful to make sure Afghanistan is not a powerful country that can threaten us. So it's been useful to our ruling elite in that way. Of course, they don't give a fuck about women.
No. They don't give a fuck at all. That's why they bomb the shit out of them. I mean, give me a credit. If they gave a shit, if America cared about women, it wouldn't be bombing and killing them at an alarming rate throughout the Middle East for the last 20 years. Like, this is just preposterous to me. Like, and they would do there's this great documentary called Afghan Star. Basically, it's an American Idol style show in Afghanistan. And it was letting women get up there and sing. And it was a big deal because the Taliban, when they had complete control, outlawed singing and dancing. And it was this thing that unified the whole country.
Oh, so it's like Utah.
Yeah. So it's like, yes, it is. It's like Utah. And so it unified the country because Afghanistan, again, as we know, since America doesn't know a goddamn thing about it, it's very tribal. There's different sects and languages and all this stuff there, but it unified the whole country. So they could have put money behind programs like that. I always said, they could have actually supported soccer. They could have built up the soccer programs and gotten youth sports, because I was in Iraq in 2011 when the Iraq national team was in the Asia Cup. And it was a big deal because they hadn't had a national soccer team for years because of the war. And it unified that whole country because they kind of advanced a little bit in the Asia Cup. So Shiites, Sunnis, and Kurds were all cheering together for this team, right? That's the power of sports. So was there any inventive plan like that? No, it's just bomb the fuck out of them, spend a bunch of money, throw money in the street, $3 million for some village. We don't know what it's doing. I could have fixed Afghanistan if I would have been given in charge of it. Like I could have fixed it. Graham Elwood could have fixed Afghanistan.
We could have a B- government going on right there, right now.
A perfectly functional B-, gonna maybe get into an okay state school like University of Arizona, which is what I got into. I had a B- GPA. I went to a country club college where you could take golf for credit. Okay. And you know, I lived in all my apartments had swimming pools. I had a great time. I was on the lacrosse team.
The type of college where you can turn in the same essay that hundreds of people share around the campus and no one cared.
Yes. Where I would you could lay out on the mall area, with a lot of schools would call it the quad, on the mall and sunbathe between classes. Like that's where I went to school.
And get credit. You got credit for that.
I got full credit for that. I somehow couldn't get an A in that. I don't understand why, but maybe I had the wrong towel.
It was your bikini line, I think.
It was my bikini line. Like I had, when I became a film major, they were just like, there was classes where I just would go watch movies. I'd watch Alfred Hitchcock movies and write about it. It was a blast. I had a blast. I could have done that for Afghanistan. How fucking hard is this, you idiots? Because I wouldn't have gone in there like, well, we got to blow everything up because I'm a greedy jackass that needs to make a profit off of human misery, you filthy psychopaths. Oh, and if they cared so much about women, obviously the 5 women that run the 5 defense contractors, all the CEOs are women, by the way. Gee, you would think they would care so much about women. No, they're rich white ladies, so they don't give a fuck that they're bombing poor brown women. As long as they get equal access at the country club, that's the only thing these fucking assholes.
And how do you think they got to the highest position at those weapons contractors? Do you think it was being nice and lovely and friendly?
Yeah. Being all feminine and sweet and cuddly cute. No. They fucking stepped on people's throats, or they like Gina Haspel. They liked watching people get tortured. And that's how you become head of the CIA.
Yeah. So in terms of this whole women, basically it's a psyop. If you want to share that screen I put up. So this is from Susie Dawson, who you and I are fans of, who's making Panquake. But she got this from the WikiLeaks files. She wrote, watch an info op unfold before your very eyes. Look how easily the plight of women is weaponized to manipulate social media users. And then here is the actual quote from the CIA documents that WikiLeaks has revealed. So in this quote, the ISAF is the International Security Assistance Force. Other nations helping us in our Afghanistan pursuits. But so this is a quote from an actual CIA document, basically telling people how to use, how to create good propaganda. It says Afghan women could serve as ideal messengers in humanizing the ISAF role in combating the Taliban because of women's ability to speak personally and credibly about their experiences under the Taliban, their aspirations for the future, and their fears of a Taliban victory. Outreach initiatives that create media opportunities for Afghan women to share their stories with French, German, and other European women could help to overcome pervasive skepticism among women in Western Europe toward the ISAF mission. So basically, use Afghan women, weaponize them for propaganda so that we can continue to have a U.S. imperial domination of the country.
Awesome. And people fall for it. And nobody asks questions. Nobody goes, why have we been there this long? How much money have we spent? Why are we still in Afghanistan? Like,
and you would not have those documents. You would not be able to see the proof, even though you'd suspect it. You'd not be able to see the proof if Julian Assange and WikiLeaks hadn't revealed it to the world, and that's why he's in prison right now.
I know. They couldn't even, when Washington Post had their 6 minutes of actually doing legit journalism a year and a half ago when they released the Afghan papers. They just, even then, couldn't go, yeah, Julian Assange shouldn't be in jail. They couldn't even just say, like, some of the stuff in here he revealed and he shouldn't be in prison. They couldn't even do that. They can't. It's the hypocrisy and the lies. America is a crazy place. It's an insane asylum, and everyone's losing their shit. It's insane. I don't even know what to do. Like, I don't know how to handle this. Like, why America is so nuts.
It's because you're a B- student.
It's because I'm too dumb to do it. Yeah, no, all throughout school, it was if Graham would apply himself, he would get better grades.
And you were like, I am, but at much more fun things.
I'm applying myself. Yes, I'm applying myself at having fun. I'm applying myself at playing sports. They're like, Graham, why you work so hard? You listen to your football coaches. You never argue with them. I said, yeah, because they're not jackasses. Like, they're not trying to teach me something that doesn't matter. Like, I want to play football. Like, this is fun. Football's fun. Chemistry is not fun. I don't care about it. My geography teacher, who was a dick and would chastise me in front of the whole class whenever we lost. Yeah, I don't fucking care about that guy.
Right. But I mean, yeah, this is the type of information that our mainstream media should be covering, should be talking about right now as they flip out that the Taliban's taking over the country. But they choose not to cover any of this, not to reveal any of this. Sometimes they're forced into revealing it one day back in 2010 or something, but then never again. They act like it never happened. Here's another story they would like to act like never happened. So a lot of people want to know, where is the Taliban, even before this, that people were asking, where does the Taliban get their money? Because a lot of what the Taliban did, and a lot of the reason they have so easily taken over the country, it doesn't have to do with money. It just has to do with the fact that we went in there, we invaded a country, we then tried to pay people to be the security force, the Afghan security force, for our invasion government. And what do you know? They're not necessarily willing to give their lives to fight for that shit. Big shock, big surprise. So when we pull out and the Taliban says we're coming in this city, the Afghan security forces go, okay, I'm not gonna fucking get shot over this.
Yeah.
Anyway, they still did need some level of money. And so where were they getting it all these years? 20 years of fighting the Taliban. Where are the Taliban getting their money? Well, here's one place. If you want to share this article from The Guardian, back when The Guardian did real reporting, 2009. How the U.S. Army protects its trucks by paying the Taliban. The U.S. is spending millions of dollars in Afghanistan to ensure its supply convoys get through, and it's the Taliban who profit. Basically, the article says that the U.S. military would pay the Taliban so that they could get through mountain passes and fight the Taliban. Sounds logical, doesn't it? Sounds fucking brilliant.
Again, it's just like, local cops that pay drug dealers or whatever, like, it's just like the same. God, it's funny. Like, when a system doesn't work, definitely keep doing it. I mean, definitely double down on a system that's broke. I mean, really, that is not literally the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. It's not like that's a quote that everybody talks about. It's like, yeah, keep doing it. This is going to work. This is going to work. I'm so glad I did a video, a month or so ago, when they pulled people out, and I said, the news media is bummed out we're leaving Afghanistan. The news media was like, oh boy, Taliban, what's going to happen here? And I said, we'll be back there. There'll be more resurgent, or there'll be a false flag or something. We'll be back in Afghanistan. And now I put a poll on my Patreon page. We're at 3,000. How many troops by the end of the year? 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, or 40,000 plus by the end of the year? My money is on 30,000.
Yeah. And on top of that, like, even when he said they were pulling them out by September, I did videos, and others did videos, and I talked to Mike Preisner, who's a veteran, and yes, we knew we were going to lose ground by pulling the troops out, but we were still going to keep drone bombing. We were still going to have mercenaries over there. So we were still going to continue some level of war. I mean, that's still, if you're bombing a country, you're still at war with Afghanistan, even if your puppet government isn't the government of the land anymore. So even if they had taken out all the troops and kept them out, we were still going to continue war
there. I've run out of jokes and analogies. I literally am out of them. I have no more left.
So I know we're going a little backwards here in time, but I thought I'd also give a little bit about the history of many people, the history of Afghanistan, because that leads into why we're here. Afghanistan had a revolution in 1978, and a socialist government took over. And you can see photos of back when that government was in power, and it's, people, it's a regular cosmopolitan town. It's women walking around without having to cover their faces, dressed in outfits that look like it's New York City. Like,
well, yeah, look, Kabul was literally called the Paris of the Middle East. And I'm just going to guess here. I'm just going to make a wacky guess. The socialist government came in, everybody was having a great time. And was there a 3-letter organization that maybe got involved with getting rid of that socialist and then letting fanatics take over?
You're close. TGI Fridays. So yeah.
So the TGI Fridays said we need to come in here, and that's right. They were like, out there it's Tuesday, but in here,
and once they got jalapeno poppers into the country, it all ended. It all just collapsed on itself. I mean,
out there it's socialism. In here, it's war for profit. That was their whole thing.
Yes, the CIA played a small role.
What? Lee Camp? Hold on. I am beyond shocked that you're going to tell me the CIA had a role in deposing a democratically elected socialist government that made the lives of the majority of the people better. I'm going to stop you right there, because I think you've gone off the deep end. I mean,
the initial name of the CIA was deposing democratically elected socialist governments.
And they were like, can we tighten that up just for sort of a branding issue?
We cut that down for the t-shirts,
for the mugs and the shirts and the merch. It's just better for merch. CIA it's great merch. They got great merch. The CIA's got great merch.
So this is I'm quoting from PSL put out a statement on what's going on in Afghanistan right now, which is excellent. People should read that if they want a little history of Afghanistan. But here's just a quick paragraph on it. The role of the United States in Afghanistan has always been insidious. The Taliban itself came out of the counter-revolutionary insurgency organized and bankrolled by the CIA in the 1970s and 80s that sought to overthrow the country's socialist government. This socialist government, the Democratic Republic of Afghanistan, was committed to the empowerment of workers and farmers, full equality for women in all areas of society, the provision of free social services like education and healthcare, and other progressive goals. The U.S. government backed far-right religious armed groups to wage a deadly insurgency against the government and their Soviet allies. One faction of those fighters, the Taliban, won out in the aftermath of the fall of the socialist Afghan government and established themselves as the country's rulers and enforced an oppressive political system based on reactionary theocratic principles. Any claims by U.S. officials to be concerned about the fate of women's rights or democracy or religious freedom in Afghanistan is the worst kind of hypocrisy. So, yeah.
So my freshman year dorm flag football team was really pretty good. It was intramural, and we were pretty good.
Good.
This happens every episode. I mean, it literally happens every episode. It's just, this show is fascinating in that every episode is very similar in the sense of it's always the same playbook. It's the same, it's just different place. It's a different set of lies we've been told or whatever. This, we a different set, we've been propagandized to believe this or that or the other thing, but it's always the same. It's like when 9/11 happened and everyone was like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, it's awful. What happened on 9/11 was awful, but we set this up. I mean, our lineage in the Middle East helped create like Afghanistan. If we would have just left them the fuck alone, the Soviets never would have come in probably. I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about the Soviet invasion. Maybe they still would have.
Well, the Soviets were, allies with the socialist government in Afghanistan. So I think that there would have been a cooperation there, but I don't think it would have been the situation that we ultimately made. We funded the Mujahideen that became Al-Qaeda. We gave them surface-to-air missiles to shoot down Soviet helicopters. And, if you go watch the wonderful propaganda movie, Charlie Wilson's War, it's all about, Charlie Wilson just cared so much for people that he wanted to give surface-to-air missiles to the Afghanistan farmers. And then everything went well after that. So Osama bin Laden was our friend. There's that famous, I don't know if it's Washington Post or New York Times article with the bold Osama bin Laden standing there. And it talks about what a hero revolutionary he is and how he's our ally in Afghanistan. And, we create these things and then we're amazed that there's blowback. We're just shocked.
We've been doing business with the Taliban and I mean, since day one. I mean, it's like now, of course, we've an Al-Qaeda and ISIS. I mean, this is just all we've done. Anybody that's like socialist or doing business with Russia or whatever, we have to come in and just blow it up because we see it as such a crazy threat. We could all be flying to Kabul as tourists.
Yeah.
We could be like, oh, dude, you got to go to Kabul. It's amazing. It's just really beautiful. They got great food. It's like you could have all that. You could have all that, but we've decimated. I've been to Afghanistan. It is a wasteland, and we've created it. We've helped create it. I mean, we're bulk of the responsibility for creating it. Not just the war since 2001, but everything you're talking about since the late 70s. We armed a small group of psychos. Boy, I don't know. I wonder if this has happened. Did the FBI infiltrate any psycho organizations that took up guns and took over a nation's capital in this past year? Anyway, I keep feeling like I've heard this before, but maybe it's just because I've watched too many movies. This is what they do. I mean, they find groups that are actually kind of crazy and dangerous, but have no real power. And then they elevate them and give them power. And then turn them into bad guys because fear is what keeps everybody motivated, right? Fear is everybody. And when people are afraid, they will act they will be crazy. They will overreact. They will say yes to a bunch of crazy things. They will do whatever. They will do all this stuff.
And
I mean,
we to look at the big picture and of course, we didn't need even if we wanted to go after Osama bin Laden and get Osama bin Laden, that could have been done without destroying the fucking country. We haven't even gotten into, and I don't think we need to spend much time on it, but the opium trade where the Taliban had eliminated opium from the country. They banned it. And Afghanistan was basically, very little opium was being produced there. The U.S. comes in and, basically by coming in and destroying the government allows opium to then, blossom, so to speak, in more ways than one. And Afghanistan to this day produces 90% of the world's, globally, the world's heroin and opium. And the U.S. obviously has a bit of an opioid epidemic in which someone dies every 11 minutes from heroin products of one sort or another, or opium products.
It's
So
another weird coincidence.
yeah, strange coincidence.
Very weird coincidence. This country that got rid of most of its opioids, poppy seeds, now the U.S. helped bring it back. And then after the U.S. help brings it back, the United States has an opioid crisis amongst its own people. It's almost like the American power structure and the corporations that run it are trying to kill Americans, or profit from it at least, and don't care.
Yeah, at least profit from drug abuse and destitution and hardship. And to look at the truly big picture, you get back to Wesley Clark saying he was told in the days after 9/11, we're going to invade 7 countries in 5 years. And why did the U.S. do that? And what were the aims? And were any of them achieved? So, the list is like, I don't remember them all, but it's Libya, Yemen, Syria, Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan, or something like that. And we did a lot of them, or most of them. Iran has proven too powerful to really take on. But the goal was really to create failed states and make them no risk to us and no risk to Israel, and stop all of these countries that are outside of our central banking system, outside of our economic tendrils and tentacles. And most of it has succeeded. Like, even though we technically, quote unquote, lost in Afghanistan, lost in Iraq, lost in Syria, lost in Libya, we've created pretty much failed states in those places. And in that way, if you are truly cynical and you don't mind hundreds of thousands of people dying, really millions, because 1 million died in Iraq alone, and you don't mind tens of thousands of troops dying, and you don't mind killing so many innocent people and just destroying the globe, then in that way, we've been successful, creating failed states in so much of the Middle East. But...
Oh, well, the way you spin it, I don't feel so bad.
The way I spin it, it's not so bad.
It doesn't sound that crazy. You know what I mean? So if I hear you correctly, we should all be donating to Joe Biden's campaign in 2024. Am I hearing this right? Are you saying?
Absolutely. I mean, the man can do no wrong.
The man can do no wrong.
How much more of a leftist, crazy leftist peacenik do you want in the White House?
I know.
Than Mr. Joe Biden.
Oh, he's a socialist Marxist. God, I wish, when people would always say that he's a socialist Marxist or whatever, I'd be like, I wish, God, it would be so great if he was.
Yeah, you turn on Fox News and it is a wonderful fantasy land. The country's being taken over by people that are defunding the police, and police don't have the ability to do their jobs anymore, and our military just can't, it doesn't have enough money, and it can't sustain the level it's at. And it's just, honestly, Fox News is like, when I want to feel good about the world, I just watch Fox News.
I know. I was like, oh God, I wish this was the America we lived in. Just this lefty socialists, fucking just lefties run ragged. I just would love it. God,
apparently Marxists run all of Congress. It's amazing.
Marxists. I saw some dummy on Fox News say, when I was on the show with Esha, he said that well, Marx wrote Mein Kampf. I was like, these guys don't. Mein Kampf was written by Hitler, and I don't think a Jewish guy would have written Mein Kampf to begin with. So
yeah, it's unlikely. And then on top of that, one's an economist, and one's just like a murderer.
Yeah, I don't think an economist would write Mein Kampf about when he was in jail because a goat bit off his nuts or whatever to put Hitler in jail. I don't know, whatever he was in there. It's just a misunderstood artist, right? Is that what they're going to say next on Fox?
His paintings were a little, yeah, they were just, they were abstract, so people thought they were negative. And
Oh, so like this journalist on Fox doesn't even know what Mein Kampf is or who Karl Marx is. Doesn't even know what it is. But he's pretty. He's got nice hair.
well, there you go. Yeah, he's not dealing with any Count Chocula shit.
That's why I can't get on regular TV. It's because of the Count Chocula. That's what's fucking me up.
It could be.
It couldn't be that my views would piss people off, namely the billionaires that I would be working for. So, yeah, how many troops do you think we'll have in Afghanistan by the end of the year, Lee?
It's tough to say. I'll go conservative. I'll say 10,000. But we clearly have decided that we're now okay with the Taliban taking over the country, and that is something they knew was going to happen for years now. The moment the U.S. pulled out to any degree, because they've never really understood Afghanistan. They thought they could just pay these quote unquote security forces and everything would be fine. And put a corrupt president into the top office, and then they just make it work. But of course, it's hilarious. I mean, it's fucking pathetic. And then you have all these liberals who will, before now, say, "Oh, we got to end the wars," and then the moment CNN says, "But look what's happening to women," they all do a 180 and they go, "Well, let's not end it yet." I mean, there's so many that are supposedly peace-seeking people that claim that, oh, well, we need more we need more war. Real peace is war, really.
Well, look, they're all for war when Democrats do it. It's that simple. When Republicans do war, it's awful. It's bad. War is bad. But when Democrats, when Obama didn't, Obama put the anti-war movement to sleep. Yeah. They just all went to sleep, with the exception of like Medea Benjamin and Code Pink and a handful of other people. Everybody else, there was mass anti-war protests when leading up to the war in Iraq, mass ones under Bush, and millions of people in the streets, and then not under Bush, or not under Obama, under Obama and Biden, everybody went to sleep, and that's what's happening now, and everybody's just nobody. The liberals are the problem, and there's nothing to be done. It's going to be never ending. It's going to be never ending. We're just going to be in war. I always tell people this. I always try to put this in context for people. I go, imagine after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, which was December 7th, 1941, we were still fighting the Japanese in 1961. 1961. So to give you a little context, that would have been 3 years before the Tokyo Olympics. The 64 Tokyo Olympics was Japan's coming out party of post-war Japan, because we went there and the war ended in 45. And then we did the Marshall Plan, where we actually helped rebuild Japan and Europe to where now, which those countries were decimated by bombs, many of them ours. We've talked about on this show how we didn't need to drop the A-bomb. They wanted to they were back channeling surrender, and we didn't care. We needed to drop the bomb anyway. After even we blew up their fucking countries, we brought them back to where Europe in the late 50s and 60s became this thriving place. All these musical movements came out of there. Art came out of there. We helped rebuild it and then got them a part of the world. And that's why those countries are so anti-war. And that's why Americans, by and large, are pretty fucking clueless about what war on their soil is like, because we haven't had it. We haven't had a war on our soil since the 1860s. So we really don't know what it's like. There is a war in the sense that there's 100 people dying every day from handgun deaths, but that's not really a war. Hey, that's a just slippery slope, and Second Amendment, I don't know. So that's what America is doing, is literally, I always say, if we were still fighting the Japanese in 1961, what would the world look like? What would Asia look like? What would Europe look like? And Tokyo just had its second Olympics. I mean, Japan is a global power. It's an economic power. It has a thriving community. It's not perfect, but look at the Philippines, all those parts of the world that were really destroyed during World War II. And we're keeping doing that in the Middle East. Why?
And
Because
what happens when you keep crushing a country after you've already crushed it? After you've already defeated it? Like, oh, I don't know, World War I? What happened to Germany? When you just keep crushing it, you end up with World War II. You end up with Hitler's. Like,
right. It's like something Hedges has talked about. Like you, and especially when you crush people, you take away the social programs of socialism or whatever. And then he always uses the term, and then these people like Slobodan Milosevic get regurgitated up when there's a power, when you crush people and there's a power vacuum, and then all these awful, that's what happened. The American people have been so crushed by globalization, by opioid epidemics, by all this stuff. So some of them went to crazy Donald Trump because they had nothing left. They just and that's why there's this resurgence of white nationalists in this country. And some of these people, they're fucking scary, and they were heavily armed. And some of them were at the Capitol. I mean, it's just nuts. We live and it's just like, that's going to only get worse. We have Cory Bush protested for 5 days and got the eviction moratorium pushed back to October 3rd. They keep pushing down the road. What happens when there's 30 million people on the streets? What's going to happen? Who's going to come in and take control? Is it going to be a populist, or is it going to be some goddamn nutbag or a bunch of different nutbags? And this country will be fractionalized, and it's going to look like goddamn Yugoslavia in the 90s.
Yeah. If you don't allow like a leftist revolution, and I don't mean that needs to be guns. I mean, it could just be someone as moderate, and you and I both know he is moderate, as Bernie Sanders, taking power and kind of fixing things. If you don't allow that and you crush it and you rig elections, then you end up with fascists.
Yes, I know. If you get rid of populism, then you're going to bring nationalism. You're going to bring all this crazy stuff. I mean, it's just like, it's amazing to watch that Americans have no sense of history. They're easily propagandized and split up and fractured. The left is so easily fractured, so easily. And it's insane. It's like, and no one wants to learn from it. I mean, it's the one, while Charlie Rison's War there was definitely propaganda in there. One of the things that was in there at the end of the movie was, we're leaving this country, Afghanistan, that has a high illiteracy rate, and we're leaving all these weapons there. And that's how you get, fascism and fanatical dictators or movements or whatever, governments to take over. I mean, I talked to interpreters when I was in Iraq and Afghanistan, and a lot of these young guys that got recruited by either the Taliban or Al-Qaeda couldn't read. So they started when they learned how to read, and they started reading the Quran. They're like, wow, the Quran's really peaceful and nice, and talks about helping people and helping the poor. That's how easy it is to propagandize people. We have a horrible education system here that has been deliberately eviscerated over the last 5 decades. And that's why people are just flipping out, and there's all these, anyone believes my uncle's brother's doctor says this and this about COVID or whatever. Like, masks don't work. All right, have your dentist cough into your mouth the next time you're getting your teeth cleaned. I don't give a shit. Like, tell me how that works.
Well, when you have a mainstream media that has proven again and again that they have no interest in revealing the truth to you, when they can do the WMD scandal and then apologize for it a few years later, and basically do it again with Russiagate and do it again with so many other things, then people just will turn anywhere for what is reality. I know it's not CNN, so what is it? And unfortunately, many of them will end up with just fucking whack jobs telling them how it is.
Yes.
So yeah. It's fucked up, but we just informed several hundred people. And so I think, we're making progress.
Yeah.
I'm trying to end on a good note. Trying to end on a good note, Graham.
On a good note, yes, there's 400 people watching. Hit the like button, everybody. And hopefully it's 400 people that are going to wake up. I'm sure some of you are going to send crazy emails. That's always great.
But speaking of crazy emails, we have a live show, I think still happening, September 18th in Los Angeles. It's my first live show since this whole thing happened where everyone lives on Zoom instead of IRL. And it should be very cool. Our first live podcast.
It's going to be a lot of fun for several reasons. One, I've performed live a little bit. You haven't. We've never done this show live, which will be fun to have an audience while we, make each other laugh. Will be a lot of fun. And
I think we might make them laugh too.
I'm thinking we'll make them laugh. I'm sure we'll have a point in the episode where I get really mad or whatever. And
we'll have a point of everyone will, people come for the jokes, but they stay for the moment of stunned silence.
They always stay for the moment of stunned silence of just like, wow, every week the show proves that it can get worse. Yeah. And also, you and I haven't seen each other in quite a while. Obviously not since the pandemic. It's probably been a year and a half since we've seen each other or longer. Maybe 2 years. This theater in the Dynasty Typewriter, I love that theater. I love Jamie and Vanessa who run it. Sammy, our producer, works there. She's my producer as well. I'm just excited to see a lot of people because it's all this remote working stuff. So it's going to be super, super fun. It's a cool old theater, and it's like you're supporting an independent business there, and I'm happy to support them as well because they, barely made it through the pandemic. I mean, I know, I'm sure you do too, at least Ron and I can tell you for certain, Ron and I, about 25 to 30% of the venues we were working with before the pandemic are out of business. They're gone. So the ones that have barely made it and are still up and doing shows, like I'm happy to help support them and bring our audience to their venue. Because I don't want to see these venues, especially the ones run by really cool people, to go out of business, because it's heartbreaking to watch as a live performer venues going out of business.
Yep.
So it'll be super cool. So yeah, September 18th, go to graham-elwood.com or Lee's website to get tickets, and please come out. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, my website's down at the moment. I think it might not be up for a week. So go to Graham's website.
Yes, it is available on my website. So get tickets to the show, come out. It's going to be super fun. I think it's going to be a really awesome thing. So it's, we're just about a month away from that show.
Yeah. Also, last thing, my new media outlet I created is called radindiemedia.com. Everyone should check it out. Plenty of great articles about Afghanistan that is not mainstream media. It's not for profit. There's no ads. It's just straight up helping support all the awesome left-wing independent media. So.
It's basically, just for people who don't know, it's just kind of a one-stop shop for like lefty indie media. Like you're just curating articles and videos and stuff from all these sources, right?
Yeah. And for a lot of them, for the ones we can, a lot of them, it just puts everything they put up there, as long as it's not overwhelming the site. But like, all of Gray Zone's up there, all of Abby Martin's up there, and plenty of your stuff, Ron's stuff, Jimmy's stuff. So and then for the sites that put out a ton of shit, we pick, an article here or there, but yeah.
Sweet, man. Well, that's awesome. So check out that.
Yep.
Rad Indie Media. I'll put that on the boom. And then all the tickets for Ron and I's shows that we're doing, check those out. Lee Camp probably be performing on the show in DC.
Yeah.
Yep. Unless the Capitol Police let a riot in. So yeah, that's our show. Yeah, check everything out. Go to grahamoa.com and support us both at rockfin.com, blockchain cryptocurrency platform. And it's free to sign up. And then if you do the premium content, it's $10 a month and you get everybody's premium: Lee's, mine, Abby, Jimmy Dore, Ron Placone, Whitney Webb, everybody that's on there. You get all their stuff. So check that out. I think that's our show, buddy.
Thanks,
Government Secrets, episode 52. Put it in the books. Afghan.
Put it in the Afghan books.
Put it in the Afghan books.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Graham. And I will see you soon.
All right, brothers. Safe travels on your vacation or whatever.
Yeah, I'll be back in a week. So.
All right, we'll talk when we'll do the next one, I guess, huh?
All right. Yeah, sounds good. I mean,
all right.
It'll probably be that Monday or something. Probably be a week from today.
A week from today. Okay, cool. Sweet. All right, buddy.
Later.
Bye.